Sipping slow, yakking the act, thinking I'm mad.
Watch another video. Salute to the homie Fantastic Hip Hop, man. We gonna jump into that. Let's jump into that. Salute to Fantastic Hip Hop.
Canceling his tour out of nowhere and shocking everyone by ending an entire series of shows he had planned within a way like we have never seen. What we are finding out now is that beyond the low ticket sales, things for Drake were way worse than we could have ever thought, because during the last few shows of the Anita Max Win Tour, what we have now seen is that Drake has really let everything going on get to his head. And because of this, he had a meltdown not just on Kendrick Lamar, but on the entire rap game and music industry, and seemingly because of this, more than the poor ticket numbers could ever do, Drake has actually not just given up on this tour, but every single thing around his music career. And now, before we go any further into all of this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe so everybody can know what's really going on behind the scenes with Drake and OVO. And so with that said, when it comes to Drake and this moment in the timeline of events that we have already seen, as we already thought that the entire cancellation of this tour has been one of the strangest moments that we have witnessed recently as rap fans, because really with Drake leaving the road with the ridiculous cover-up that we all had to read, over everything else what we could clearly see is that something was very off on Drake's end, and they are definitely hiding something from us. And the more we explore what was going on behind the scenes, what we are now putting together is that everything for Drake got way more out of control than we could have ever expected. And I mean, when it comes to why this is, we shouldn't be surprised, because really, Drake being this much in the public eye during the same time where no matter how else you try to put it, Kendrick Lamar has been winning in every single sense of the word possible, has been getting him more and more mad, and seemingly because...
That's a fact though. Like, bro been trying to pull all these stunts, making all this pretend stuff, paying fans to do weird stuff, trying to make it seem like his sales is crazy. Bro, we just watched an album that you made with Party Next Door do 50%, even more than 50% worse than For All the Dogs, which was one of your worst selling albums on top of that. So you did even half as worse on your last album you did with Party Next Door than your lowest selling album. And on top of that, the first week sales was 240,000. The second week sales was 3,000. And nobody talks about that. You paid payola for people not to talk about how your second week sales was 3,000 units. You did worse numbers than Ice Spice in your second week. At least Ice Spice did 8,000. You mean to tell me your second week sales is 3,000? Nigga, you tried so hard, but you just keep failing, gang. 3,000 units second week is absolutely disgusting, bro. You just did SoundCloud numbers. That's disgusting. Oh, champ, bring up these likes. We're gonna keep it going.
Because of this, Drake has given up on trying to compete with Kendrick, at least in the limelight right now, which in of itself, trying to compete with Kendrick head to head in a time where he had things like the Super Bowl halftime show going on, and he of course ended up sweeping the Grammys, was just ridiculous, and once again was another example of how Drake never properly estimates his opponents. Still, with Drake not recognizing that Kendrick Lamar is on one of the greatest runs any rapper has ever been now, there's nobody he can blame for this but himself. And with the ending of this tour, we saw just how bad all of this is getting for Drake, as he had some of the strangest outbursts that we have ever seen. And these all went down during none other than the final few shows of his Anita Max Win Tour, which really, with the way Drake was going here already, because beyond not being able to fill up all of these arenas, which would have looked so bad for his entire image at this point, and really Drake would not even be able to come back from that. Beyond just the humiliation of Drake no longer being able to fill out arenas when Kendrick Lamar is about to fill up stadiums, the bigger problem at hand, and why this tour just got out of control and why Drake canceled it the way he did, is because Drake has been making these tours less and less about performing and celebrating his music and career. And instead of doing this, between people going to these shows trying to get a handout from him with their signs that are just begging him for things, and Drake not even performing the actual music and just running around and playing karaoke on stage, and then even letting the DJs play the songs that actually have been gaining Drake the most momentum since the beef, and not playing them himself, which is what he is doing when Nokia is playing at these shows. Which in of itself, the fact that Drake is not giving this record good performances is another reason why the record is not gaining the momentum.
You see the manipulation. You see how them lights is in the air. They're trying to make it look like it's phone cameras. Really, it's just lighting to make it look like the arena is bigger than it actually is. To be fair, it's not necessarily an arena, nigga. It's an auditorium, nigga. This nigga Drake then did performances and did a tour at the YMCA out there in Australia, gang. Yeah, Australia got a YMCA, nigga. And Drake is performing for niggas in the bleachers, by the way. Okay? This ain't what it seems, right? These niggas might have had to add extra bleachers to look like there was extra seats. But truthfully so, this is what we're looking at, champ, right? This ain't even a quarter of a Rolling Loud crowd, right? Not even a quarter of it. You dig? Nasty work. Oh, man. Smash the like, share the video. Let's keep it going.
That fans think it should, and why they need to stop with the narrative that this record is being suppressed, because the only thing holding it back is Drake's unenthusiasm, which overall, with all of these factors and all of the cringe moments, it's safe to say that with these performances, there has never been a more boring set of shows that Drake has ever done in his entire career, and making this tour all the worse, Drake's actually using the little time he is talking on the microphone to just unravel his thoughts and anger towards everything, and as a result of this, we have been getting some genuinely weird moments that are truly just showcasing how angry Drake is, but also how complacent he is in the fact that he does not want to actually change anything about what he is doing. And as already, before this tour completely went off the rails, we were seeing Drake do things like encourage fans to bring in signs that were disrespecting and saying awful things about Kendrick Lamar. And of course, there was a moment where a fan held up one side that said F Kendrick, and Drake responded to it saying facts. With what we have seen now, a moment like that looks pretty calm, because overall, these performances have got a lot weirder, and with some of the clips coming out, it seems like these things are not even gatherings for music, but in actuality for Drake, they are just launching grounds for him to crash out and vent to thousands of people like we never have seen before, as the first weird moment from Drake's shows recently comes from when he was standing and looking into the crowd. Fans started to chant F Kendrick, which I mean, considering the reality of everything and the fact that these people still went and put their effort into going into a Drake concert, I mean, that's no surprise that people are chanting this, but what's interesting here is that Drake doesn't just take in the moment, but I mean, you can see from the clips that he is encouraging fans to say this and only wants to hear it more. Which again, considering where the beef has went between these two, while on some level this wouldn't be surprising, in reality, for Drake to act like he is so scared of Kendrick with the claims he has made in his suits, but then try to act so tough here, it almost seems like Drake feels validated being in these crowds to just go crazy and crash out, and this is the
It does feel that way. He need validation like a mother, because you got goddamn Carnage yelling at the crowd, telling him, say you love Drake, tell Drake you love him. He needs love. He needs love. Like, bro, this is corny. This nigga's a grown-ass man, bro. Handle your battles or do something else. If I'm you, I just, listen, man, you out there in Australia, go build some barbershops in Australia. I'm sure that niggas is not getting the proper lineups they should be getting out there. You can hire some Dominican barbers, have them travel to Australia and put them on a payroll, champ. All right? Listen, sure you can make a barbershop in Australia since you was out there so goddamn long. The Outback needs barbershops, okay? The Outback needs barbershops, nigga. Do something else. You ain't even got to rap no more. Because at this point, you just stressing yourself out rapping. You're making it harder for yourself, okay? All right? The fans, for some reason, are stressing out too. They putting their heart and soul in the glaze in this guy. Y'all putting your heart and soul in the glaze in this guy, nigga. Y'all on that nigga's Frank like a koala bear's on a tree. All right, climbing the man's Frank to reach the top. Okay, trying to get blessed with his essence. You guys are weirdos. You need help. You're not sane individuals. Something's wrong with y'all. Run up these lights, gang. All champ.
only time he ever does, which I mean, all of this is just so off-putting. And considering how being this upfront about dissing Kendrick this all is for Drake, it really seems like he's almost breaking the character he has been trying to play and convince people not in the know with to make him look like a victim of everything that has happened as a whole. And now, even more revealing than this, and just showing how Drake is straight up raging at the entire industry because everything about his loss and how he has failed is really settling in, he made a speech where he said, "For all my collaborators, all the producers, and all the artists that I've worked with," but then of course had to butt into that trying to say, "The ones who didn't turn on me, the ones who are still real, I appreciate you." With Drake saying something like this, while it may be a nice nod to the remaining people who are desperate enough to stay on Team Drake, for Drake to start off a statement that was trying to support people but then of course putting things like the way we saw, he knew what he was doing here, and really with a statement like this was trying to just throw more disses out at these people in any way he possibly can. And I mean, it's so funny when Drake fans complain about how Kendrick Lamar and everybody else around him are still keeping the beef going when you see things like this, because while someone like Kendrick has not said a single thing to or about Drake aside from when he performed Not Like Us since their diss tracks released, from music to posts to meltdowns like these, we have seen Drake continue to express that he isn't just not over all of the beef that has went down, but that he is still livid at Kendrick Lamar and wants to actively try and get a massive win on him in any way he possibly can.
It's too bad that's not gonna happen, bro. Sometimes you just gotta let it go, or you're gonna hurt yourself. If you don't let it go, all you're gonna do is hurt yourself, champ. You are going to hurt yourself, champ. Oh, champ. Yeah, I don't think you want to keep this going, yeah. Like I said, you could build a barber shop. Listen, since you like Jamaican culture so much, how much you build an oxtail shack? Yeah, that's right, champ. Sounds about right. Yeah, you need to build Aubrey's oxtail shack, all right? Since you're so Jamaican, right? Aubrey's oxtail shack, all right? Listen, you have as many impossible oxtail burgers as you possibly can, right? Impossible jerk chicken, impossible stew chicken, right? Impossible curry chicken platter, things like that, right? You can do that, right? It's possible, champ. Anything's possible, champ. Believe in yourself. Believe.
Really, with Drake being at this point where his shows have just gotten so strange in terms of how little they are featuring good performances and live rapping and are only being talked about for failing to fill out buildings or for crash outs like these, what's really starting to seem like the clear and obvious answer to why these shows were canceled is that Drake and his team have seemingly realized that this Anita Max Wid tour is worth nothing to what they are trying to do currently, and because of this, they are packing things up because they have nothing to gain. Because for Drake, on every single level, it is so obvious that he was blatantly bored of being on stage and performing his music, which, I mean, as a rapper and artist is concerning because at the end of the day, that is what you're famous for, and performing is the most pure way for you to deliver your art. But also because of the weird disses Drake has been making towards Kendrick and the stuff he has been encouraging on stage, his team very well could have seen this and recognized how chants like these show that in the suit he is trying to win, that all the stuff we are now seeing from Drake could be spun around to say that Drake has always had the same level of influence that Kendrick does, and that Drake has also tried to do the same things to Kendrick's image as Drake is claiming that Not Like Us did to his, which will ultimately add to the idea that this was always a competition and the two knew the possible effects of what they were getting into, which with all of this, and really, as when it comes to Drake, as everything he has been doing is for the opportunity of what he can gain because he is so clearly disinterested in the actual art and craft of what he is putting out and what performances he is giving, this at least on some level seems to check out because overall, Drake now seeing after a tour an album that did nothing for him, Drake is now giving up on pushing himself in the competitive fields of performing and rapping, which is so clear because with everything leading up to the end of this tour, he is showing no care for what he is doing beyond the bare minimum of it all because even with SSS for You, as it stands, why have we seen no videos or any other efforts to try and push this album?
Y'all ain't gonna get no video, gang. He don't even believe a video deserved. He don't even believe a video should be made. Y'all ain't getting no video, gang. What video? You dig? Yeah, somebody had to go hug me. I had to let somebody go squeeze their shadow real quick. Yeah, go give your shadow a nice squeeze for me. All right? And wipe your mouth when you go there too. Don't forget to wipe your mouth, gang. By the way.
And make it do better, unless it's just an extension of the fact that now that this album has done lower numbers than Drake ever has, that he just doesn't care about it anymore and will not put the effort into telling the story of it because he is not gaining something directly. And really, without the music or the tour doing anything for him as a whole, it really just seems like Drake has now given up on these measures of winning people back, and is now putting all of his effort and care into one thing to end his loser's lap, and the success and dominance of Kendrick Lamar as a whole, which is of course his lawsuit. And I mean, while there is already a lot to discuss there, which will need its own video, what we can already see is that with Drake now being at a point where, at least for now, he has canceled an entire tour and has given up on a new album just because their reception was maybe worse than usual, and now he is trying to win a beef by having what is in his eyes the best paperwork he ever could. I mean, if this is what you wanted to do, what are you even playing at this point for? Because again, if you're not doing all of this to try and have your music connect with the actual people, what are you even winning at this point? But of course for Drake, since this is all about pride and ego clearly, that does not matter, as just as we saw on this tour, this was all only ever a vehicle for him to try and gain and boost his perception and never actually give the fans decent shows, and because none of that has worked out. Of course, because Drake doesn't actually care about the art, but only the optics He has given up, and now as Drake is crashing out to new levels, while he is running away from everything for now, I am sure the next time we see him, it's going to be an even further display of how Drake has ruined his entire rap legacy. And so now with all of that said, let me know, what do you think about the complete crumble of Drake's
Shit over with, gang. It's finished. It is done. It is finished. Done. Finished. Over with. There's no coming back. There's no recovery. This is a done deal, gang. This is over with. There is no way he could possibly ever make a comeback. It's done. Finished. Especially when that listen, I don't even know if this won't be a GNX Deluxe. It could be a whole different album before we know. We don't know nothing. We gonna see, man. March is here. It's March right now. Listen, Kendrick might drop an album on March 17th, the day of the UMG lawsuit. The day of the UMG lawsuit is March 17th. Is Kendrick dropping then? I don't know. We don't know. We shouldn't even worry about when Kendrick gonna drop, because he's gonna drop whatever the hell he dropped. We just can't predict it. There's no predicting his drops, to be honest. Nobody has ever been successful at doing so. You dig? The album could drop an hour from now, nigga. We didn't see it coming. You never see it coming. Ladies and gentlemen, do the mayor a favor and go to showfacenews.com for the brand new mayor merch. Yes, wear the mayor's quotes in style all fall, all winter long. For the remainder of 2024, the mayor will be providing brand new merch each and every month. Alright, look, we have the All Champs tees out right now, as well as the Hug Your Shadow hoodies and tees. Wear the mayor merch in style only at showfacenews.com. Get your orders in, the orders ship fast. Get it right now. Everybody's buying it. Subscribe to the mayor.